I think we have it as secure as it can be. That's not saying that we can't do better, but we also have to find a way to really fix an immigration system that's broken. You have to learn how to dream. And you have to dream big, and you go out and you work hard and you accomplish what you want to, but at the same time, you give back to the community. I could pave all the roads with gold and there'd be somebody come and complain that they're too shiny. And that's just it, because everybody has a different perception of what good government should be. I think local government works best at the local area. And, people ask me what I want my legacy to be, and I tell them I hope that they'll remember that our county is a little bit better because I was part of it.
Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm your host, Dave Martin. On our last episode, we traveled to El Paso, Texas, and talked immigration there. On this show, we're heading to Santa Cruz County, Arizona, and talking with County Supervisor Manny Ruiz. In many ways, Manny is the embodiment of the American dream. Born in Arizona to Mexican immigrant parents, he worked his way up and served on the county school board for 22 years. He's now serving his 6th term as a Santa Cruz County Supervisor. His county is on the Mexican border, and the largest city there, Nogales, has 3 border crossings and an international airport. He's another county official on the front lines of immigration. Like David Stout in El Paso, he doesn't see a border crisis, but he does see policies that need to be changed, and he sees problems that the county alone can't fix. We first talked at the National Association of Counties Conference in July 2023 in Austin, Texas. Since then, he has seen the border crossings increase, but he says they've been able to work with other surrounding counties to help, mostly to help transport their new migrants away from the border to other parts of the state. He says the federal government needs to step in. He says using local taxpayer money on a national issue, that's just not fair to the people of the county. Manny says it's time for politicians to put their partisan differences aside and work to actually find solutions. Until that happens, he says, there's not going to be real change. So let's listen to Manny Ruiz after this. The Good Government Show is sponsored by Ourco. That means our community. Ourco has found a way to make government more effective. Ourco provides the OUR platform, and this is an app that blends in-person and digital interactions to connect people with their government, their county, their town, their state. The Ourco app transforms meaningful conversations into reliable data. They can turn results into projects and programs the community has essentially already approved. It's sort of like a flash poll by phone, but without the call and in real time and wherever community members are. Maybe they're at their house or their office or where they're out just talking about local issues. Maybe the choice is between putting in more local buses or expanding the bike lanes. Ourco can get you an answer immediately. With OUR, you can engage your citizens or any group, learn what they want, and build programs and policies that advance your county, your job creators, your constituents. So visit ourco.com, that's OURCO.com, and learn how they do it. And while you're there, book a demonstration.
My name is Manny Ruiz. Everybody calls me Manny. I'm a county supervisor from Santa Cruz County, Arizona, and our city that everybody usually knows is Nogales. So that's where the county complex is.
So never been to Arizona, never been to Santa Cruz County. Describe your county for me.
It's probably one of the most beautiful counties, especially when we have a lot of rain. It's very green.
Do you get a lot of rain?
This is the monsoon season, and last year we got probably close to 10 inches, I think, which is a little bit above normal. Our monsoons hasn't realized right now, so right now it's pretty hot. And, we're not as hot as the Phoenix area. We're about 10 degrees cooler usually, but we're still up in the hundreds.
Is this the Old West? What's it like?
It used to be really kind of like a railroad town, because a railroad came into our community, several years ago, and the town kind of grew around it. So at some point there was a little bit of agriculture. Mostly now is kind of cattle that's being run. So you have the ranchers that lease the forest land for grazing for their cattle. but not like the Wild Wild West where, everybody's on horses or get 'em up or shoot 'em up. But no, that's a thing of the past.
Did you ever work as a rancher on horseback?
Unfortunately, I didn't. But I did work construction with my father from the time I was 13 years old, because he wanted to teach me how to be a man and how to be able to take care of myself. So being the oldest of 11 children, it certainly was an education for me. So I've loved it.
What did you do when you were in construction? What were you building?
Anything from mixing cement, laying blocks, painting, fixing roofs, carpentry, a little bit of plumbing, not so much electricity, but like my dad said, I mean, if I'm going to be a carpenter here, I'm going to starve to death. So he learned how to do all the trades, and he showed us and some of my other brothers how to work and be able to take care of ourselves. And it's a great lesson that he taught me.
Other than being county commissioner, what is your background? What's your work background?
So, wow, I've worked when I was
I didn't know this was a trick question. Sorry.
Well, I have to think about it because most of my work experience was with my father working construction. But I did work at a grocery store.
Okay.
I also worked at a gas station, pumping gas at the old Gulf gas station. I don't think they exist anymore, at least not out west. I worked for the Arizona Cattlemen's Association, which ran the inspection service for produce quality. So I worked a few years with them. I did quality control for some produce companies. I went to California and worked in Salinas, Santa Maria. In fact, I was there for that big earthquake in '89 when the bridge collapsed. So
Interrupted the World Series.
Fortunately, it happened the day after I dropped my wife off at the Oakland airport because she came to visit.
Oh.
So I went across the Bay Bridge, and the next day after I had dropped her off, that earthquake hit. So that bridge collapsed, and by the grace of God, there was not a lot of traffic. We weren't on there, and so it's an experience that very hard to describe.
Now, in your capacity as an inspector with the Department of Agriculture, are you the guy to go grocery shopping with and pick out vegetables?
Well, that's what my wife tells me. So,
Is she just getting out to go to the grocery store?
Right now, she takes me with, and she says, "Okay, show me what you did and how you picked them." And for the most part, I do a good job. So she's happy with me that I picked the good produce, the ripe produce. And so,
what should you look for when you're buying produce? Give me some tips here.
Oh man, first of all, for me, tomatoes have to be firm. So I usually squeeze them lightly. For certain fruits, I like to kind of smell. Watermelons, just tap them so that you hear that little thud on them to make sure that at least they're good. So, and then a lot of it is you kind of look at it and you pick it and you hold it and you see. And like I say, 9 times out of 10, I'll pick a winner. So that's not bad.
No, that's pretty good. What do you look for in strawberries?
Oh, for me, I like them to be nice and red, because I like them to be ripe, because I'm going to eat them right away. I'm not going to put them in the refrigerator. I'll go up and...
Big or small do you want your strawberries?
I find most of the time that the medium-sized berries, not the too small, not the too big ones, are the best ones. Those are the ones I like, and then I cut them up and then put them in a bowl, put a little whipped cream, and away we go.
All right, good. What are the issues that you're working on? What's going on in your county? What are the government projects that you're dealing with?
So, being a border town.
Border county. We are here at the National Association of County.
And a border county. Many of the issues that we face, first of all, are deal with transportation, make sure that we have good roads, that our freeway system is able to handle the traffic that's coming from Mexico, both commercially and private citizens that come over to our community to shop or go to Tucson or Phoenix. We have a huge produce distribution companies that distribute produce throughout the country during the winter. There's about 3 billion pounds of produce that comes across the U.S.-Mexico border every winter. Typically 1,500 to 2,500 trucks a day.
What are they bringing in?
Anything from tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, jalapenos, corn.
I just said we had a jalapeno. We're having a jalapeno shortage, yeah?
Yeah, they are, and I really love jalapenos. So, when I get them, when we barbecue, I'll get them. I'll put them in olive oil. Then I get a little bit of soy sauce, put it in a bowl, get some limes, squeeze the limes in the soy sauce, and then put my roasted chilies in there and let them rest for a while. Oh, great for a barbecue.
You do a lot of cooking, it sounds like.
I love to barbecue. Yeah, that's my wife loves me to do because it's less work for her.
Sure. So we have your county to thank for fresh peppers and tomatoes all winter long?
During the winter, yes, and it feeds quite a bit of the country during the winter, and it's the competition for the trucks crossing, of course, got nice, hot, and heavy because the state of Texas, where we're in right now, started giving incentives to companies to relocate their distribution centers to the border ports down here, and many of our produce companies took advantage to open some satellite offices down here because over the years, the produce industry in Santa Cruz County and Nogales, they had it down pat, the distribution, the trucks coming in, going out, the workforce to do that. So, we still have a lot, and a little bit of the volume went down, but not to where we're at least very concerned right now. So we're still making it.
So we hear a lot in the rest of the country about the problems at the border. Are you seeing that in your county, and what's it like to be a border county in 2023?
Well, for us, we are good neighbors. Mexico, the state of Sonora, which borders Arizona, is one of the biggest trading partners for the state of Arizona. So we have a very good working relationship. Immigration, of course, is an issue. We used to, when I first came onto the board of supervisors, in a typical year, we used to discover bodies in our county that had passed away either because of the cold or the heat. So because we don't have a forensics lab in our community, we had to send the remains to Tucson, which is Pima County, and that was $1,500 to $2,000 to try to determine what the cause of death was for the remains that were found. That has since dropped. When Title 42 was lifted, everybody thought that we were going to have huge caravans of people trying to...
Just briefly explain Title 42.
Title 42 was the Trump's administration, because of the health emergency for COVID, that they were sending the migrants back. And when it was lifted through the Biden administration, and subsequently the courts did it as well, then the Department of Homeland Security and CBP created an app that they're using to have migrants that want to get asylum, that they can apply on the app. They'll get an alert to come to the border. They'll come across. They'll get interviewed, and then they can be released. And so we have a great partnership with Pima County, and they will come and they will pick up the migrants, take them up to Tucson, and then they'll, get some more paperwork done, and then they'll send them on their way to their family members.
Is it hard to maintain a border?
It is, because there are a lot of areas that don't have any kind of fencing because of the terrain, or you have waterways. I mean, like arroyos in our case, they're dry, but when it rains, they really flow. There's a lot of different challenges, not just for our community, but even for the federal agencies that protect our border.
Do you feel like you have a good handle on your border now?
I think we have it as secure as it can be. That's not saying that we can't do better, but we also have to find a way to really fix an immigration system that's broken and have the resources at the border for the migrants that are seeking asylum or want to come in, so that the judges that hear their pleas could act on them a lot quicker. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of people there doing that now. So consequently, they're released, and it could be 10 years before they get their case heard. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it really going to take the federal government to sit down and strategize and find a way to really fix what's broken at our border.
You said you're first generation Mexican-American. Your parents came over. How did they get here?
My parents immigrated back in 1955, and they had a sponsor. And I remember my dad telling me that the person that gave them the letter that said, they would be responsible for them. My dad, of course, was always in construction, so the person that gave him that letter of recommendation would always call him, oh, I need this done, or I need that done. And so one day my dad finally said, I really appreciate it, but, I've got a family to take care of. And, if there's something, do I need to pay you for this? I just can't drop everything I'm doing and come to do that. And they were really good about it. They said, we apologize, we're sorry. And to this date, the family that did that, we're very grateful that they did that for my parents. And I even went to school with some of their kids, and one graduated with me, and we were friends and stuff. So it was very different. My dad immigrated in 1955 at the time where he was probably making more money in Mexico than when he came to the States to make 75 cents a dollar an hour back in the 50s.
Why'd he come?
Because it was his dream. And he always wanted to come here. My dad is probably the smartest man I know. He has a second grade education from Mexico, but there wasn't anything that he couldn't do. There wasn't anything he couldn't build.
Did he see you get elected to office?
Oh, yeah. In fact, my dad's 97. So
he's still with us. Oh,
still here. He's 97 years old. My mom's 90.
Does he call you up and say, son, what are you thinking?
Oh, yeah, we do. In fact, I go see them every day. And, he's one of my big campaign guys. He's got this old Ford truck, and he puts my signs on there, and he stands by the polling place with my picture on there. And he's one of my, big supporters. And he always told me that you have to learn how to dream. And you have to dream big, and you go out and you work hard and you accomplish what you want to, but at the same time you give back to the community. And I've been fortunate that the community that I grew in has given me the opportunity to serve on the Nogales Unified School District Board for the last 30 years, which has a tremendous impact on how our kids get educated and what we do. And it gives me so much satisfaction to see those kids graduate and go to Stanford or Harvard or Columbia. Some are even going to MIT. That is one of the most, rewarding feelings for me as an elected official. And then when it comes to the county, is the same way. There's a lot of satisfaction because as public servants, and that's what we are, public servants, we're there to address the needs of our constituents. And that's what many people forget. So if you get a call and you can help them, you help them. If you can't, you say, I can't because, and you give them the reason why you can't.
It is sort of the ultimate American story, I guess, and a little impressive to go from dad comes into this country with a second grade education, and his son sits on the education board and is a county commissioner.
Oh, you know what my dad told me? He says, I wish I would have had the opportunities you guys had. And he's right. I mean,
that's why he came to the States, right?
He did. He saw that this was the opportunity for him to raise his family. And my dad has worked very hard for many years. He built the home we live in.
He did?
Oh, yeah.
Did you help?
Probably a little bit, but mostly not because we were young when he was building it. I remember when he started building the house and we moved, we used to come with him because the school that I was going to be going to was near where he was building the house. So I was probably in second grade, and we would come with him. He was working on some apartments across the school. So it was so neat. At lunchtime, we would walk over to him. He would build a little fire. Then he would put this little piece of iron on the fire, and he'd heat up the burritos that he had brought for us to eat. So we had a warm school lunch.
Dad made burritos at school?
No, my mom made lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad just brought it, but he warmed them up for us.
Oh, that's pretty handy. There are a lot of people in this country who have a very negative impression of Mexicans, of immigrants, of people who have come into the States. Your background, your experience, what would you say to those folks?
You can't judge a book by its cover. I mean, the vast majority, well, let me rephrase this. This country's made of immigrants, and everybody's family came from somewhere else. We weren't all born here. But from what I've seen, the work ethic of many of the Hispanic population is they're coming to work. They want to work. They want to do. They want to make well for their families as well. They want to, have the nice house. They want to feed their family. They want to produce a lot of things for their own family. So this country needs a lot of agricultural workers, construction workers. We need doctors. We need nurses. And there are a lot of immigrants that bring those skills that can blend into our culture, into our community, and continue to make us stronger. They just need an opportunity sometimes. And, some of the families of many of our good American people that came from elsewhere had that opportunity, and they turned that into success.
As you've done.
Well, I hope I have, and I hope I've inspired my children, and I hope I can continue to inspire my 2 grandchildren that I have, because that's the legacy that I want them to think about their grandfather, just like I'm thinking of the legacy that my father has given me to carry on, representing the Ruiz family name.
Okay. All right. Now, that was the easy part. Now we're going to get into your personal philosophy of government. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. This is our questionnaire. So, how long have you served as county commissioner, county supervisor?
22 years.
Right. 22 years. Define good government.
Good government is being able to meet the needs of your constituents. If they call you, you address their needs. If you can help them, you help them. And if you can't help them, you tell them why you can't.
How do they react to being told they can't be helped?
Well, they'll get a little mad, but eventually, you talk a little more, and then they understand that we can't protect private property. We can't put a light on their backyard. But if there's an issue that's on the street corner where they need the light, then we can act on that.
How do you judge your success?
I believe that I do well. I'm not going to say great or excellent, because there's always room for improvement. But I feel very good that I'm able to help not just the constituents in the district that I represent, but those constituents from my 2 colleagues' districts, because they call me and they say, what can you do to help? And then I try to find solutions.
How do you know if you're doing a good job, though? How do you judge yourself?
It makes me feel good. And once staff tells me the job has been completed, that's fine. And occasionally I'll get someone call me and say, thank you very much.
So every once in a while you get an attaboy.
In fact, I will tell you this. I was walking out of a meeting the other day and out of the courthouse, and this gentleman pulls up in a car, lowers his window, and he says, thank you for what you do. And I'm going, wow, he made my day.
How do people know, the citizens, your constituents in Santa Cruz County, how should they know if they're getting good government? What should they use as a yardstick?
Well, it's very hard in these difficult political times to really find one answer to that problem. I will say this, that I have a good friend of mine that's a developer that told me one time, he says, you know what, Manny? I could pave all the roads with gold and there'd be somebody come and complain that they're too shiny. And that's just it, because everybody has a different perception of what good government should be.
If people feel like they're not getting this government that they want, what should they do?
Well, there's an election coming up in next year, and so you look for that person that you think will be able to do that, but don't give up on the person that's there already, because over the years there have been a lot of successes that we've had. There's a lot of things that we've created. We were able to establish a a provisional community college district, which we didn't have, so we had to lobby the state legislature to do that. We built a new courthouse and jail building. We had to bond to build a bridge over to finish a Corps of Engineer project that when it was first taken on by the Corps was going to cost $3 million. And by the end, if we hadn't paid for the bridge, it probably would have been over $60 million.
What should people do? If they don't like what they're seeing, what do you want them to do?
Come and talk to me. Tell me, you're not doing a good job. Why aren't you doing this? You know, the only way we can turn things around is communicating. Don't write a letter to the editor saying how bad things are. Come to me, sit face to face with me and say, you know what, Manny, you really are not doing a good job because of this, this, and this. And if you're straightforward with people, you'll get a straight answer, and then you'll be able to maybe not convince them that you're doing a great job, but at least they'll see your point of view and some of the constraints that we have.
Or at least they'll hear it.
Yeah, they'll hear it. I mean, you know, we all have lawyers, and the great thing about lawyers is they tell you what you can't, why you can't do it, and I tell them, tell me how I can do it. So
22 years county supervisor. What would you like people to know about how government works?
I think local government works best at the local area. And as you keep moving on the food chain, state government's a little bit slower because there are some times that we need the support, we need the funding from the state level, and then we go on to the federal level where there are some things that are beyond our control that we don't have the funding or it's a federal issue. And when you get to the federal level, then you begin to get to the speed of snail. And the speed of snail is where something should be done quickly, kind of like our core project 10, 20 years later, maybe you're doing that. My hope is now that we're able to convince our delegation from the federal government, and they have been coming through for us, because they know some of the projects that we need are vital for our community to continue to grow and prosper. So we've gotten some good allocations of dollars for infrastructure projects. So,
who's your political hero? Who inspired you to run for office?
That's a good question.
It wasn't supposed to be a trick question. So, what inspired you to run for office? What inspired you to get involved?
A recall. I got our principal at the high school, who was my Spanish teacher.
Wait a minute. You're a Mexican-American and you took Spanish.
I took Spanish.
I hope you got an A.
No, I tell people I speak 2 languages and I speak both of them very badly. Okay. But well, it was either German or French, and I felt more comfortable with my own language. So and I did well. I mean, I passed the class because you had to get a foreign language to get your diploma.
Right.
So anyway, the principal, Dr. Raul Bejarano, was unfairly chastised and moved from the high school to an elementary school. And I went to a school board meeting, and you remember those famous words, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I said those words at that school board meeting, and the former superintendent reached out to me and says, we need you to run and recall the board. And that's how I got. So I would say it was because of something that they did to a person that I really admired, and I still do, for what he's done. He became our superintendent. He became one heck of a superintendent.
And is there anybody, though, in politics that you consider to be a hero?
You know, there's. I mean, I remember John Kennedy. I remember, when he gave a speech at the inauguration, and then when he talked about, going to the moon, or do not ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I mean, I see a John McCain on the other side that sometimes I didn't agree a lot with his philosophy, but he was always straight with me. Over the years, I've met a lot of individuals that have been doing this a lot longer, that are probably more well polished with what they do. But I mean, at the end of the day, when I look at this, I wish my dad would have been a politician, because I think he probably would have done a lot better than me. But I'm very grateful to his lessons. I'm very grateful to him pushing us to be better. And those are some of the things that at the end of the day, you really can't put a value on. And so you move forward, and I see, Lyndon B. Johnson, when he signed the Civil Rights, we're in Texas. So there's a lot of people, I think, when you think about it, that maybe contributed to why I got involved or why I want to serve the public.
That sort of inspired you along the way.
Yeah, and so it's always great. And you know what? I will tell you this. I have a lot of friends that I've made in NACo that inspire me to be just like them.
Other county commissioners?
Greg Puckett being one from West Virginia, Phyllis Randall up in Maryland, Lena Fowler, who is from Coconino County, who's on a reservation that is out there looking for ways to provide for her people to have internet when they don't have water or electricity going to their homes. A lot of great people that are members of NACo that really do inspire me.
I have never been to Arizona. I have never been to Santa Cruz County. I'm a little concerned about your jalapeno oil rub there. Might be a little too much heat for me. But where are we going? Let's go out and have a meal. What are we having? What are you cooking? Where are we going?
I'll take you to my mom's house. She makes the best beef tacos and rice and soup. I mean, they're better than you can get them anywhere else, and they're made. So I'm fortunate she's still there.
Has she showed you how to make it?
You know what? I know how she makes them. I just would rather let the master do it and not have me mess it up.
What do you said you love to grill? What do you cook?
I love to go to Costco, and I like to buy the filet mignons.
Okay.
And so I'll grill those all the time for my wife and my family, and I've gotten pretty good at it. So
you talked a little bit about your background and you were inspired. Were you president of your student council? Were you class president? Did you think you'd be president someday or county commissioner?
No, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I mean, I had a lot of my friends that were in Stuco, or I belonged to some clubs, like the Science Club was one of my favorite clubs, and then the Chess Club. I mean, I remember sitting at a restaurant called Sambo's back in the day. We were playing chess and eating French fries with Thousand Island dressing. But no, I mean, I never really got into the student council. It
wasn't something you aspired to do all the time.
It wasn't. And in fact, some of my friends always looked at me and says, "How did you wind up here?" I said, "Well, I guess just the luck of the draw. I was at the right place at the right time, I guess."
22 years, county supervisor. Give me your favorite example of some good government that you were able to provide.
Probably the one that I'm most proud of is working to create the Provisional Community College. Because in the state of Arizona, there are some requirements in order to have a community college where you have to have the assessed value and the population. And being a community of 50,000, we didn't qualify under either. So we worked very hard to have the state legislature create a statute that would allow the community to vote to create a community college, a provisional community college. We still have to contract with a accredited community college to provide services. And so that was a big lift at the time, because we want to make sure that our students have the opportunity at least to get some type of education locally. And then if they want to go to a four-year institution and get a higher degree, then, at least they've got their basics out of the way, whether it's their math courses or their language courses or whatever they.
Sure, yeah, the basic stuff. Right.
And so that was probably one of the biggest accomplishments for me. But, like I said, passing a jail district to build a jail, building the bridge, a lot of things that is a culmination. And people ask me what I want my legacy to be, and I tell them I hope that they'll remember that our county is a little bit better because I was part of it.
Is there going to be a Manny Ruiz Park?
Probably not.
Bridge? What do you get?
No, I as long as I remember me fondly, that's the biggest reward I can have. And if I would name anything with my last name, it would probably be in my father's name.
Okay, all right.
Because my mother's too. She bore 11 kids, and she never worked outside the home, but.
And she made the burritos for school lunch.
Well, she made tortillas for us every day. I mean, 6-7 dozens. She'd get up at 5 a.m. We'd have fresh tortillas for breakfast. We'd walk home for school, fresh tortillas for lunch, and fresh tortillas for dinner.
Does your whole family still live in the town, in the county?
No, actually, I've had 2 brothers that have passed away. So, but I have one brother in Georgia. I have 2 sisters in Nebraska. I have one brother in Phoenix. I have one brother in Tucson. And as the oldest, I'm the one that's there. So usually if something happens, I get the call, your dad's going to the hospital, or mom's not doing well. So I have a sister living with them, taking care of them, but they still call me.
You're the oldest, so you're in charge.
I don't know how in charge I am, but I love doing that for them. I mean, they took care of us. It's our turn to take care of them.
Dad taught you how to work construction.
Oh, he did, man. I learned how to paint and stuff. And my wife says, when are you going to retire? And I say, why do you want me to retire? Well, I've got all these honeydew things. I said, I'm not ready yet.
She's got a list. She's just waiting for you.
She's got a list. I'm trying to outlive the list, but eventually I will, so.
Manny Ruiz, County Supervisor, Santa Cruz County, Arizona. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it, and I hope my comments will go well. It's just an honor to be able to serve the people of Santa Cruz County. I've been fortunate in the school district, and I am just a very lucky guy.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess Dad made the right move.
He did. I thank him and my mom for deciding that when they immigrated, I was born here, because they were married 5 years before they had kids, and after that there was 10 more. So,
all right. So they were busy parents in every way.
They were very busy. So very fortunate.
Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
What is it the county government does? That's the question county commissioners get asked the most. And the simple answer is everything. On the Good Government Show, we're so lucky to have talked with so many county commissioners and other county officials that have shown us how effective county government is. County government dates back to, get this, 1634, making it one of the oldest forms of government in the United States. Think about it. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers. In most of the county, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government. The National Association of Counties represents all 3,069 counties across the USA. NACo helps county government work better together through things like sharing best practices. When county government works well, that's just good government. A dad that heats up your school lunch, that's a good dad to have around. And a dad that dreamed of raising his 11 kids in America? Manny Ruiz is truly what makes America great. He wants to continue to inspire other people to get their share of the American dream. Well, he has, and he continues to show that the American dream works. Well, that's our show. Please like us and share us with your friends, and review us right here where you're listening. And don't forget to check out our website, thegoodgovernmentshow.com, for some extras. Join us again for another episode of The Good Government Show. But before you do that, if you like what we're doing here at The Good Government Show, check out our friends over at How to Really Run a City podcast. It's hosted by a couple of smart, hilarious, and outspoken former 2-term mayors, Atlanta's Kasim Reed and Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter. Each episode features a different A-list guest sharing their secrets about how to really get stuff done in these urban laboratories we call cities. Check out How to Really Run a City, brought to you by the nonprofit Philadelphia Citizen and co-hosted by award-winning journalist and author Larry Platt. And that's wherever you get your podcasts, and check them out at the philadelphiacitizen.org/podcast. So thanks for listening. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.